In a scandal that's engulfing Hollywood like wildfire, Blake Lively has just triggered a media and legal firestorm with a move so cold, calculated, and devastatingly aggressive. It's being labeled by insiders as the most chilling abuse of celebrity power we've seen in a decade. Known for her charm, her dazzling red carpet presence, and her curated family image with Reynolds, Lively has long been the poster girl for Hollywood's polished elite. But that image is now unraveling fast. What began as a bitter legal dispute between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni over alleged defamation and creative sabotage has now mutated into something far more insidious. In a newly leaked court filing and deposition transcript, it's been revealed that Lively's legal team has engaged in a tactic so ruthless it has blindsided not just her opponents but the very legal community that once admired her team's composure. She didn't just attack Justin Baldoni in court, she went after the people watching from the sidelines: journalists, YouTubers, podcasters, and even anonymous Twitter users. The secret: a wave of aggressive subpoenas disguised as evidence requests sent to critics, creators, and reporters who dared speak out against her or offered platform to narratives that didn't match her PR script. Legal intimidation, strategic silencing, and targeted exposure of private communications. Blake Lively isn't just playing hardball, she's playing dirty. And according to a bombshell email leaked by a legal whistleblower, this plan was not just reactive, it was baked into her team's defense strategy from the very beginning. Control the press, subpoena the loudest voices, make an example of one and the rest will fall in line. The email allegedly reads, that line alone has triggered a cascade of outrage from free speech advocates, media watchdogs, and even former allies who once celebrated Lively's so-called grace under pressure. Now Hollywood is watching and whispering. The curtain has been pulled back, revealing a machinery of legal manipulation so brazen that even veteran publicists are privately calling it a PR suicide mission. Is Blake Lively trying to win a case or burn down her entire public legacy in the process? Behind the glitz and glamour of red carpet smiles and carefully staged Instagram moments, Blake Lively and her legal team were reportedly engineering a defense strategy with a singular, ruthless goal: suppress all dissent. Sources close to the case confirmed that months before the subpoenas were made public, a series of confidential strategy meetings were held at Lively's private Brentwood estate. Meetings not just about legal defense but about how to reshape the narrative and punish those who dared to tell a different story. According to one insider who attended 2 of these strategy sessions, the tone was anything but calm. Blake was livid, the source said. She felt betrayed by the media, by friends, even by the fans. She said, they're all turning on me, and I'm not going to take it lying down. That's when the idea of targeting content creators first came up. From that point forward, it became clear that Lively's legal team wasn't just interested in clearing her name. They wanted to silence her critics by any means necessary. The plan: drown journalists and influencers in legal paperwork, use subpoenas to uncover email chains, private deem as unpublished drafts, anything that could discredit them, intimidate them, or at minimum tie them up in legal fees they couldn't afford. And it worked, at least at first. The first sign of this storm came in the form of a quiet email to a journalist who had published a scathing expose on the Lively-Baldoni dispute. The journalist, who has since gone public, shared the content of the email, a subpoena demanding all draft sources and communications related to the article. This was followed by similar demands sent to several YouTube commentators, including independent creators with less than 10,000 subscribers. Why? Because they speculated that Lively may have tried to sabotage Baldoni's Wayfarer project, an allegation her team has vehemently denied. But instead of issuing a standard denial or addressing the criticism through public channels, Lively's team went for the jugular. What was once commentary became legal evidence. What was once opinion became subpoenaed testimony. And for some, it became a financial death sentence. Legal experts have warned this tactic could set a precedent that endangers the very foundation of free commentary. If a celebrity doesn't like what's being said about them and they can afford a team of lawyers, what stops them from targeting critics not based on merit, but on power? The legal community is rattled. This is not normal, said Harvard Law Professor Melinda Chang. Subpoenaing creators en masse in a civil dispute crosses a line. It's not just about winning a case, it's about punishing the conversation around it. The backlash was immediate. A-list stars began distancing themselves from Lively in quiet but noticeable ways. Industry veterans like Shonda Rhimes reportedly declined invites to Lively's charity gala. Even Taylor Swift, longtime friend and godmother to Lively's children, has remained conspicuously silent. But it's not just silence that's ringing loud. At a recent awards event, Justin Baldoni took the stage to present and made a cryptic but powerful statement. We're living in an era where storytelling is under threat not by governments, but by those who once claimed to be storytellers themselves. The audience froze, some clapped, others whispered, but the message was clear. Baldoni's legal team has now filed a formal motion accusing Lively's lawyers of abusive process, and it's making waves. The motion points to a deliberate campaign of third-party harassment, alleging that Lively's actions were meant to cause reputational harm and financial distress, not to gather legitimate evidence. And now, for the first time, the court is taking notice. The silence of Taylor Swift, one of Blake Lively's closest friends, has become deafening. Usually quick to support her inner circle during times of controversy, Swift's refusal to comment on the escalating legal battle has sparked widespread speculation. Is it loyalty, is it conflict avoidance, or is it quiet condemnation? Sources within Swift's camp say the pop star is deeply uncomfortable with how the situation has unfolded. According to one insider, Taylor has seen the documents, she's been briefed, and while she's not inserting herself publicly, she's definitely not signing off on what's happening either. Swift, who has built her brand on empowerment and standing against systemic abuse, is reportedly concerned about the broader implications of Lively's tactics, particularly the way they seem to punish independent voices and creators. Her brand can't afford to be linked to censorship or elitism. And right now, Blake Lively is skirting dangerously close to both. One Swift fan account tweeted, Taylor once said silence speaks volumes. Well, she's being pretty loud right now. The tweet went viral. Others aren't so generous. Critics accuse Swift of hypocrisy for not publicly disavowing Lively's behavior, especially after years of speaking out about manipulation in the entertainment industry. A trending hashtag #SpeakNow Taylor has begun circulating among content creators who feel betrayed by Swift's silence. Then came the leak. In a court document obtained by a whistleblower and later verified by multiple legal journalists, internal emails between Blake Lively's legal team revealed their chilling intent: identify those driving alternate narratives, seek legal exposure, subpoena and discredit where possible. We need to stop the bleeding by removing the microphone. The phrase "remove the microphone" has since become a rallying cry among creators resisting the crackdown, but it didn't stop there. The emails laid out a roadmap for surveillance of online content, critical of Lively, listing specific YouTubers, podcasters, and Twitter X accounts to be flagged for legal review. It even detailed strategies for timing the subpoenas to cause maximum disruption, such as aligning them with creators' known travel or family events. Legal experts were stunned. It reads less like a legal defense and more like a smear operation, said ACLU attorney Priya Deal. It's deliberate, aggressive, and chillingly organized. One creator who received a subpoena just days before giving birth called the move sadistic. But creators aren't going down without a fight. Several subpoenaed commentators have now formed a coalition, the Digital Independent Media Alliance, DIMA, to push back against what they call celebrity-driven legal censorship. Their demands transparency, accountability, and protection for commentary under the First Amendment. One member of the group, who runs a small podcast with under 3,000 listeners, said, "They thought we'd be scared. And we were, but now we're angry, and we're organized." With the help of pro bono legal counsel and media advocacy groups, they've begun filing motions to quash the subpoenas. They're also coordinating press coverage, podcasts, and online panels to raise awareness of the issue. This isn't just a legal battle anymore, it's a culture war. And celebrities who built empires on the backs of fan engagement are realizing they can't so easily erase or silence that same audience when things get uncomfortable. Mainstream media outlets have also begun weighing in, and not in Lively's favor. The New York Times ran a blistering editorial titled "When Celebrity Becomes Censorship: The Danger of Weaponized Subpoenas." Vanity Fair published a piece titled "Is Blake Lively's Reputation Beyond Repair?" and Rolling Stone, in perhaps the harshest critique, yet wrote, "This is not about protecting truth, it's about protecting power." And Blake Lively's strategy is the blueprint for how to crush dissent while wearing a ball gown. Legal commentary has been equally damning. Former U.S. District Judge Thomas Reyes said it appears that Blake Lively's legal team has confused discovery with destruction. And if the court lets this slide, we're opening the door for every wealthy litigant to do the same. CNN legal analyst Eli Vargas said bluntly, "This is litigation terrorism." In response to the leaked documents, Justin Baldoni's legal team has filed a supplemental motion accusing Lively's attorneys of ethical misconduct. The motion outlines how the subpoenas appear designed to intimidate and suppress, not to gather evidence, but it doesn't stop there. Baldoni's camp has also submitted a request for sanctions, which, if granted, could result in monetary penalties against Lively's legal team. or worse, dismissal of key motions they've filed in the case. The filing accuses Lively's team of bad faith use of discovery, violation of First Amendment protected activities, improperly targeting third parties. With no material connection to the claims, the motion is searing and comes backed with expert declarations from media law professors and constitutional scholars. Publicly, Baldoni has remained composed, but sources close to him say he's furious. One friend shared he's not just fighting for his name anymore. He's fighting for the right to be criticized fairly, something he believes everyone deserves, even celebrities. So where is Blake Lively during all of this? She's retreated. Since the document leak and the media fallout, Lively has canceled public appearances and gone dark on social media. Her team insists she's taking time to be with her family, but insiders say her inner circle is in crisis mode. One PR insider who previously worked on her team says this is the nightmare scenario. They were trying to control the story. Now they are the story, and not in a way anyone can spin. Even Ryan Reynolds, normally his wife's social media wingman, has gone quiet. He's been spotted in New York without her, and a planned promotional event for their joint business venture was quietly canceled. The once glamorous couple is under siege not by paparazzi but by the consequences of a strategy that underestimated how fast a secret can become a scandal in the age of digital receipts. If Blake Lively's legal team thought they could operate in the shadows, they were wrong. And now they may be facing very real consequences both in court and in the public eye. Legal insiders say the court is seriously considering sanctions against Lively's team. Judge Mira Calloway, who is presiding over the case, recently issued a formal inquiry requesting explanations for the breadth and timing of subpoenas issued to third-party content creators. In judicial terms, this is rare, very rare. It means the judge herself suspects an abusive process. If sanctions are imposed, the consequences could be devastating. The court could strike Lively's pending motions, weakening her entire legal strategy. She could be ordered to reimburse legal costs for the subpoenaed third parties. In a worst-case scenario, Judge Calloway could refer the matter for state bar review, essentially investigating Lively's attorneys for ethical misconduct. According to constitutional attorney Raj Patel, it's rare that a celebrity team is this brazen. But if they crossed the line, and these leaks suggest they did, the court is obligated to act. Patel adds that this case could become a landmark moment for how courts handle celebrities, using legal tools as intimidation weapons. Behind the scenes, Blake's image consultants are panicking. According to reports, Lively hired to top-tier crisis management firms after the leak went public. One PR veteran speaking anonymously called the situation one of the worst prepared scandals I've ever seen. They overplayed their hand, underestimated the internet, and now Blake's credibility is on life support. The core problem, her silence, what once felt like a dignified retreat, has now become a black hole. Audiences aren't interpreting her absence as strength, they're seeing it as guilt. Worse, her PR team has been caught flat-footed, unable to provide consistent messaging. 1 week sources were calling the subpoenas routine legal procedure. The next, they were insisting that Blake had no knowledge of who was being targeted. The contradictions are piling up, and public trust is evaporating. She built her entire brand on relatability and grace, said pop culture expert Nina Alvarez. Now she's being viewed as a wealthy bully with a legal vendetta. That's not just a rebrand, that's a collapse. The dominoes are starting to fall. At first it was quiet, canceled collaborations, rescheduled interviews, passive-aggressive unfollows on social media, but now it's become much louder. A-list stars, producers, and even fashion brands are beginning to distance themselves from Blake Lively in very public ways. A high-profile Netflix project rumored to feature Lively in a lead role is now on indefinite pause. A Met Gala committee member leaked that Lively's name was no longer on the priority invite list. A fashion house she frequently collaborated with quietly scrubbed her name from its press site. And then came the real stinger, a leaked group text message between 3 influential Hollywood power players that read simply, "She did this to herself." Who those 3 were, the internet has theories. Some say Taylor Swift, Shonda Rhimes, and Reese Witherspoon. Others point to Anna Wintour, Sarah Jessica Parker, and a top streaming executive. Regardless, the sentiment is clear: Blake Lively is no longer untouchable. The digital backlash has reached critical mass. Shortly after the leaked emails were authenticated, the hashtag #CancelBlake began trending globally. Within 48 hours, it had amassed over 14 million mentions on X, formerly Twitter, with influencers, journalists, legal experts, and fans weighing in. Some of the most viral tweets included Blake Lively spent her whole career smiling for the cameras. Guess what? She was smiling at us while holding a knife. She subpoenaed people who were literally talking on YouTube. This isn't just scary, it's fascistic. Imagine being this rich, this powerful, and still needing to bully the little guy to feel safe. Creators have begun posting receipts, legal letters, court filings, screenshots to demonstrate how widespread Lively's legal dragnet truly is. And it's fueling a larger conversation about celebrity power censorship and the price of speaking truth to fame. One viral TikTok said it best: if Blake Lively wins this, it means every celebrity can turn the legal system into a weapon, not just against each other but against us. This isn't just a celebrity scandal. It's a cultural inflection point. What Blake Lively has unleashed, intentionally or not, is a fierce debate over who controls the truth in the age of digital media. The platforms that once gave celebrities untouchable reach have now turned on them, especially when they attempt to control or manipulate independent voices. Creators are organizing, audiences are waking up, and courts are being forced to reevaluate the balance between civil discovery and constitutional rights. There's a reason we protect speech, even uncomfortable speech, said legal analyst Chanel Kim. The second you let rich people erase criticism through courts, you no longer have a democracy. You have a dictatorship of the famous. The final blow may have come not from leaked emails or social media outrage, but from a stern rebuke in a courtroom. In a tense standing room only hearing earlier this week, Judge Mira Calloway addressed both legal teams with a clarity that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. This court is not a weapon, she stated. It exists to seek justice, not to impose fear. She went on to directly question Lively's counsel on their justification for subpoenaing over a dozen third parties, many of whom had no direct involvement in the original defamation claim. The response was weak, vague, and, according to legal analysts, incredibly reckless. The judge then issued a partial ruling, a severe one. Several of Lively's subpoenas were officially quashed. Additionally, her team was ordered to pay legal fees for multiple third-party respondents. More significantly, the judge issued a formal warning: any future abuse of discovery rights could result in sanctions, including the dismissal of motions that may seem procedural to the outside world, but in Hollywood legal circles it's a public flogging. Even more shocking, the judge allowed a counter motion from Baldoni's team to move forward, one that accuses Lively of engaging in strategic litigation against public participation as LAPP, a legal classification that, if upheld, could invalidate large swaths of her complaint. At first, most observers assumed this case would remain purely civil, but the more details emerge, the more whispers begin about criminal exposure. Not necessarily for Lively herself, but for her legal team and possibly key advisors. According to legal experts, if it can be proven that someone knowingly misused the subpoena power of the court for intimidation or fraud obstruction, charges could be filed. In a twist that shocked the courtroom, one of the independent journalists who received a subpoena has now filed a complaint with the California State Bar and has requested a federal investigation. That journalist claims she was contacted directly by a member of Lively's advisory circle and pressured off the record to delete a podcast episode. She has since turned over text messages and call logs to authorities. While it's too early to predict if this leads to formal charges, it's clear that Lively's camp is now facing scrutiny, not just from the media but from the law. Perhaps one of the most emotionally complicated parts of this unraveling drama is Ryan Reynolds. For years, he and Blake were viewed as the ultimate Hollywood couple, a power duo with perfect kids, perfect red carpets, and perfect Instagram banter, but now that storybook facade has cracked. Sources close to Reynolds say he was blindsided by the extent of the legal tactics. While he was aware Blake was involved in a dispute, he reportedly had no idea how far her team was going to suppress criticism. Insiders claim that Ryan, who has built much of his public persona on being affable, humble, and witty, is now struggling behind the scenes with how to navigate the fallout. He's been quiet because he's torn. One friend said, "This is his wife, this is the mother of his kids," but he's not okay with what's happening. The fallout for Ryan could be just beginning. Several brands he's endorsed are reportedly holding internal meetings about whether to distance themselves quietly if the public backlash continues. As for Reynolds himself, he said nothing publicly, but the absence is speaking volumes. Blake Lively is at a crossroads. Before this legal drama exploded, she was gearing up to direct her first major feature film and was in early talks for a lucrative fashion campaign with a major French luxury house. Both have now been shelved. More damaging perhaps is the shift in how Hollywood perceives her. Once the media darling, Lively is now viewed by many as unpredictable, volatile, and even dangerous. One agency source said bluntly, "She's not safe right now. You can't pitch her without someone bringing up the subpoena scandal. This is not just about optics. In an industry that thrives on relationships, Lively is rapidly becoming toxic. Trusted producers are backing away, PR teams are refusing to represent her. Industry events are quietly leaving her name off the guest lists, even her fans are fractured. Her once loyal following now hosts heated debates in comment sections. Some defend her, blaming overzealous lawyers, others feel deeply betrayed, and many have simply moved on. What began as a private legal conflict between two Hollywood stars has now snowballed into something far more dangerous and revealing. Blake Lively, once the golden girl of the industry, now stands accused not just of misjudgment or poor strategy, but of something far more corrosive, attempting to silence dissent using her wealth and status, and in doing so she may have shattered her carefully curated legacy forever. This was never just about a lawsuit. It became about power, narrative control, and the chilling consequences of fame gone unchecked. Through leaked documents, courtroom fireworks, and mounting public backlash, we've been given a rare glimpse into how celebrity influence can morph into coercion, and how quickly it all can unravel. The internet doesn't forget, and now neither will the court of public opinion. Blake Lively may very well survive this legally. Her lawyers are skilled, her resources are vast. But reputationally, the damage is deep. The image of the composed, classy, relatable woman next door is gone. What's left is a figure cloaked in contradictions, gracious yet punitive, polished yet ruthless, a celebrity fighting so hard to control the narrative that she burned the stage beneath her. And perhaps that's the real cautionary tale. In an era where transparency is currency and authenticity trumps spin, those who attempt to crush conversation don't just risk losing their audience, they risk losing their voice. As we watch how this plays out in court and beyond, one thing is certain: the Blake Lively we thought we knew is gone. What remains is a powerful reminder that no amount of glamour can mask a scorched earth strategy, especially when that strategy has crossed an unforgivable line.